Hi, everyone. My name is Hillary Eaton. I'm the Assistant Director at the Career and Professional Development Center with SD School of Mines. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about different methods to successfully work by remote. In light of everything that's going on, a lot of us may be working remotely. We might be even doing classwork remotely, or in the future, we may choose or be dedicated to a path of working remotely. So hopefully you can garner some tips and tricks to be successful as we move forward. So first and foremost, understanding the ground rules. You want to remember that you're still a professional. No matter where work gets done, you have been hired to do a job in exchange for a wage. Whether you're entering a remote position or being asked to work remotely as part of a continuity plan, the first thing you need to understand are the expectation from your organization. You want to know, is it requiring a set schedule? Can you adjust for your home time zone if you're remotely and far from headquarters? How do leaders expect you to be available? Are they wanting you to be ready for a video call at all moments of your assigned workday, or only an occasional pre-scheduled phone call? And you also want to know, do dress codes apply? And are you required to provide your own internet access or even your own phone line? Understanding the ground rules by which your organization wishes you to operate is the most basic level of preparation for this opportunity. If your organization does not have set rules, work with your supervisor to set shared expectation for your work as a remote professional. If you lead an organization, either as a new operating model or as part of an emergency plan, be prepared with policies related to all issues of importance for how you wish your professionals to operate. Effective leaders take a two-pronged approach, both acknowledging the stress and anxiety that employees may be feeling in difficult circumstances, but also providing affirmations of their confidence in their teams. They may use phrases such as, "We've got this," or "This is tough, but I know we can handle it," or "Let's look for ways to use their strengths during this difficult time." With this support, employees are more likely to take on the challenges with a sense of purpose and focus. The key, the key of being successful in any professional role is communication. But when it comes to remote work, it is an even more important asset. Since you are no longer a few desks down for your colleagues or coworkers or even your supervisor, it's your job to schedule one-on-one meetings with them on a weekly basis to connect on your goals, upcoming projects, and daily tasks. Make sure to advocate for yourself and clearly state the progress you've made in the past week, which goals you've surpassed, and which projects you've led. When you're not in the office, it can be difficult for your manager to keep your work top of mind. So don't be afraid to bring important milestones up on your own. Any remote worker will tell you that access to consistent Wi-Fi is integral to their success, but there's more to a successful setup than just internet connection. Along with having the ability to take video calls without losing connection, you should consider what tools and tech you're going to need to do your job well. For example, many remote workers invest in a great pair of noise-canceling headphones so they can take their work anywhere, regardless of background noise levels. Others find that wireless keyboards and mouses, or even a second screen, are integral to their efficiency. One of the major myths surrounding remote work is that people who don't work in offices are lonely. To make sure that you're feeling supported and connected to the real world, we recommend becoming a part of a remote community, whether virtually or in person at a local co-working space or collective. We found that being surrounded by others who are successfully working remotely inspires beginners to stay the course and remain productive while embracing location flexibility. So let's discuss carving out space. Physically separate work time and home time. An idea might be, if you're working at a desk from home, to cover it with a sheet at the end of your workday. This signal is twofold: to close out the workday, and also to remind those sharing the shared space that the desk would not be a good place to set extra home items. If you're not able to carve out space for a desk and are working at a kitchen table, on the couch, or on a countertop, have a designated work bag. Keep your computer and any necessary materials in this bag. This is going to allow you to be flexible in your workspace, but also have everything you need in one place. Reloading the bag at the end of your day is a signal for the workday ending, even if you're never physically moved from the same location on the couch. This can be one of the most challenging aspects for remote work beginners, as the world is becoming increasingly connected. Though you may receive emails and chat notifications at any hour, especially if you're working in a different time zone than your coworkers, It's important to develop a habit of setting a time when you officially log off for the night. The best part of working remotely is having the flexibility to work when you're most productive. So be careful about setting standards that you're available 24/7. Can you just run this one errand for me? Yeah, therein lies quite a slippery slope. When you're physically around all day, friends, families, and neighbors who have never had a remote working experience may have a hard time understanding that you have a job to do. Depending on the expectations of your organization, you may be required to be on during set hours, or you could have the flexibility to complete your projects or otherwise satisfy your workload anytime. Whatever your situation, you want to share those expectations with these people so they know that you're not available to meet the water heater installer at their house in the middle of the day or any other favors of the day. As with understanding this and setting expectations with your employer, doing so with your friends, family, and neighbor can help them avoid disappointment and misunderstanding and instead promote these healthy boundaries. Additionally, if you're in a shared space where others are working, learning, or living, use physical signals that you're working and not available to chat. You could put on headphones. You could also place a sticky note on the back of your computer indicating your status. You might write on that sticky note that you're busy, you're working, but can chat, or maybe any other phrases that come to mind. However, if you have a children or dependents at home, this may be a bit more challenging to instill. So here's another idea. Explain why it's important for you to avoid interruptions to others, that they break your concentration and make your work 10 times harder. For young kids, getting childcare is important, but may not necessarily be possible. Using your support systems of family, friends, or significant others to help take turns supervising could be a helpful option. Or taking an age appropriation, of course. Train your child or children to be self-sufficient and occupy themselves maybe during an important meeting call. People may find it difficult to understand what remote work looks like or how one can even be successful working remotely. You may often hear others say, "Well, I could never do that. I'd be doing nothing but doing dishes, washing laundry, or just being constantly distracted." And this is where your professional mindset comes in to break those barriers and those long held beliefs. You're a worker and a remote professional hired to fill that professional role. Therefore, regardless of where you're located, whether it be on the couch, on a beach, hopefully, in a cubicle, you need to maintain that mindset. Work to make the space you're in conducive to a professional operation by limiting your distractions as much as possible. If you do not have the luxury of a separate space, establishing boundaries with whomever you share your space with will be quite important. A primary signal of professional is getting up and getting dressed each day. So, for example, don't wear t shirts or pajamas. Dress presentably as if you were going to meet the president, provost, student, colleague, or even supervisor via an impromptu video conversation. Trust me, with this plan in place, you're going to feel so much better each day getting up and accomplishing your tasks. Check in with yourself regularly and ask yourself the following questions. Am I accomplishing what I need to accomplish to achieve my goals and my organizational goals in a timely manner? Am I staying on track with healthy boundaries and regular routines? If not, it's time for a reset on your behavior and to get back to square one. Working remotely can be isolating if you're not careful. Building a community of practice with other professionals is very important. Finding where your people gather online can make those connections a part of your day. You might start a virtual book club, a Twitter chat, a hangout, or just message the work pal you used to see at the coffee pot each morning and have those virtual coffee pot chats. Humanizing remote work is just as vital to your success. So let's shift gears and talk about challenges of working remotely. One of the many reasons why many managers may not approve of remote work is that they fear employees may slack off without that physical in-person oversight. However, in fact, the opposite tends to be the reality. Remote workers are more likely to overwork. When your personal life and your work are both under the same roof, it's definitely harder to switch off. So you might wonder, when does the work day start? When does it end? And you want to create a hard line between that work home because it's definitely necessary to be successful. People may have People may have a hard time remembering to take breaks, stopping work at a reasonable time, and even knowing when is a reasonable time to stop. You might feel compelled to check up on just one email or finish one small thing for the morning, but this ends up spiraling into an unintended all-night session. Remote workers need to be self-motivated experts at time management because they don't have others constantly overlooking their work or managing the time for them. While every worker might find it difficult to stick to a schedule and manage their to-dos, it's especially challenging for remote workers to have who have more flexible days as well as managers in different parts of the nation or world. Managing your own work is hard enough. Then there's the constant temptation to watch one more episode of your favorite show during your work break, tidying up the kitchen when you procrastinate on an odd project, or even taking the dog for a walk. Having children at home can cause plenty of distractions and interruptions as well. Then you find yourself in the evening all of a sudden and have nothing to show for your workday. Nothing makes remote workers shake in fear as much as internet outage, or perhaps when your computer breaks. But unfortunately, both of those are your problems to solve. These technical difficulties can cause issues, especially with those meetings that you cannot miss and end up dropping out of due to interrupted Wi-Fi connections. Also, working from home can sometimes feel isolating and can lead to FOMO or a fear of missing out from other office perks. So how do we combat this? You want to use your tools of resiliency to overcome. When you can't see your colleagues, building team connections is an intentional act rather than a passive one. Take advantage of any communication tools you have to stay in the loop. If your employer provides instant messaging, aside from the times that you're in meetings or need to concentrate, keep your green light on to allow colleagues to informally connect. Reach out and have a water cooler conversation with a colleague each day. Some of the platforms you may consider using to stay in touch are Slack, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or maybe others come to mind. If you have video conferencing capability, definitely use it. You'll find it's a more engaged conversation when you do. If your team is split, some in a physical location and some working remotely, make it a policy to have everyone use the video conference from their computer, even if you're physically sitting in the same room. This is going to put everyone on an equal playing ground and avoids isolating those on the line, therefore making sure they still feel like true members of the team. Use your calendar to communicate your work schedule and stay up to date on it. And don't forget to schedule yourself a lunch break and time to take a stretch break. One of the hardest parts of being a full-time remote employee, at least for me, is knowing when to listen to my body and take a break. If you struggle with that as well, make a calendar date with yourself to get up and stretch or just take a short break. Mark Twain once said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is going to be the biggest, most important task, the one that you're most likely to procrastinate on if you don't do something about. First thing when you start up work is to eat that frog. So now let's talk about the benefits of working remotely. Cutting out a commute can be both a huge morale booster as well as a huge time saver. You will also waste less money on gas or public transportation. If you work from home, you're at your office right away when you wake up, and the time that you would spend commuting can now be used for real work. One Stanford study by Bloom in 2014 found that employees who work from home are 13% more productive compared to their in-office counterparts. You can be connected to the office every minute of every day if you wish to, thanks to the internet. You can find access to Wi-Fi almost anywhere, and the tools like Zoom and Skype make remote communication a breeze. Everyone seems to be talking about work-life balance these days, and there's no better way to improve the work-life balance than to work from home using these tips. Working from home makes employees happier, and happy employers tend to not quit. Almost anyone who's had the chance to work from home would never dream of giving it up, as long as it's the path that they've chosen, of course. And employees given this chance can be extremely loyal to the company. One thing to consider is colds, food poisoning, and the flu are going to make being in the office miserable, but working from home, it's not going to be so bad. Employees who are mildly sick can get work done most of the time if it means not having to go into the office. Another bonus, you're not sharing illnesses with others. Working from home can feel like a break from the office, even though you're still working. You'll get a chance to recharge and spend more time with your families. And Americans do end up working a lot of the time, but offering a work from home option might keep you from getting too burned out. So, needless to say, there's plenty of things going on in the world that are causing a lot of unknown variables and can cause some frustrations, anxiety, and just anxiousness of what the future may hold. But try to make the best of it. When the line between work and home starts to blur, you might find yourself stuck at your computer screen for a longer period of time. While that can sometimes be necessary when closing a major deal or finalizing an important presentation, give yourself time for, well, you. Commit to your fitness routine and make sure that you're creating blocks in your schedule to eat healthy, nutritious meals so that you can focus and be productive when you need to be. Also, make sure to practice healthy sleep hygiene by avoiding staying up at all hours of the night. The benefits of remote work can stretch into your life outside of work as well. With increased flexibility, you can take time to make sure that you're not missing life's important moments. As a remote worker, you can take care of your kids without worrying about leaving the office during standard business hours. You can decide to work from any location around the world, and you can even book that doctor's appointment that you've been putting off because it didn't work with your schedule. Lastly, make each day meaningful and purposeful for yourself. In setting achieving your goals, whether those be hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly, finding purposeful work can lead to higher levels of satisfaction and therefore more success professionally and personally. Thank you so much for your time and listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, you can always contact the Career and Professional Development Center at the email listed here, or find some additional information at our website. Even though we're working remotely from the office, we're still available to set up appointments. Feel free to email us and we can set up an appointment via Zoom, video conferencing, or by phone. Thank you so much for your time and be well.